In the world of spirits and cocktails, a glass is not just a glass, but a good conversation and experience. Today, we are around the glass with Brett Berish, the CEO of Sovereign Brands, a pioneer in the wine and spirit industry. Brett, thank you so much for joining us today.
Love it. I've been looking forward to this. And if I can spread the gospel of our industry and bring on new consumers and new people who love what we do for the living, this is my job.
Great. Let's deep dive into the topics directly. Brett, you have built an empire with Sovereign Brands, but every story has a beginning. Can you share how you first got into this wine and spirit industry?
So I never worked in the industry. So I never worked in it at all, but I grew up in it. So my father was actually in the liquor industry for 45 years. He worked at the same company for 45 years. And kind of if you were at our dinner table at night, that's all he talked about is the industry. And when my brothers and I were little, we were christened with alcohol. We would take alcohol to our teachers, when we were 6 years old. It was always about alcohol and always about, my father and his love of the industry.
Great. I know you're putting your mother's picture on the presentations, and you're showing that this is how you got your motivation actually. But it's really true that you're working with your mom still at the moment.
A hundred. It's completely true. Even though my dad was in the industry for 45 years, my mother has given me the ability to believe in myself. And she's a fighter. She never gives up. She's relentless. She's 94 years old. She rollerblades every day. She won't leave the house without wearing a t-shirt, a hat, a sweatshirt of our brands. She'll go up to everybody and talk about the brands. And she's taught me, like, and we have a saying in our industry, in our company, if we're not talking about our brands, no one is. And it's true. And she's taught me, you got to talk. You can't be scared. You got to get out there and pitch. And if you believe in a brand, you got to tell people about it. And that's what I do every day.
Great. Let's start with your entrepreneurship soul, actually. So, you know that there are so many young people who are wishing and willing to be in the lead of the industry. So, what is your golden piece of advice for a young leaders, young adults who is just starting to their journey in the wine and spirit industry?
So, well, I'd say two things. Actually, it's never one thing, Con. It's never one. But even if it's if it's not wine and spirits, I'd still say the following. One is rely on no one. Assume no one helps you, because if you go in with that attitude, you realize it's up to you. You got to go make it happen. And if other people come through, fantastic. But if you're waiting, you're always going to be waiting. You can't wait. You got to go make it happen. I think the second thing, and everything I'm saying, Con, is my mistake. In this case, I thought other people would help me. I thought they would do what they'd say, but they'd never happened. I think the second one, which I live by, is if anybody's going to make the decision, it's got to be you. Meaning, don't let the decision be someone else's if it's important. If anybody's going to screw it up, take ownership in it, because you're putting yourself out there. If you want to be an entrepreneur means you make the decision. If you're letting other people decide your fate, that's a scary thing. And again, that's something I did. I assumed everyone was smarter, everyone was more capable, they had the better idea. But at the end of the day, I have to rely on what I'm saying. So those are my two. There's others, but those are the 2 points I would convey.
Actually, this is also super understandable and also showing us that, for example, you're having a huge collaborations in order to accelerate the brand awareness and making so many collaborations specific in the music industry. So, how do you build these relationships, Brad? How do you integrate those strategies into brand strategies, actually?
So the way, and again, it's I tell people all the time, everything I'm good at is because I failed. I did the opposite before. And I think one of the things that I realized is I have to do things that feels right to me, that feels like me. And in this case, I really like music. So I really like hip hop. I lean into that. And if it wasn't part of who I am, it wouldn't work. So it feels very natural. And for me, at the same time, I want to work with people who love my brands. So I'm not chasing celebrities. I'm not chasing people who today are influential. I want people who love my brands. And if they show themselves as loving my brands, those are the people I want to work with. It's not about who's hot today. It's about who really gets Bel Air, who loves the brand, wants to show it off, appreciates it, and wants to work with me, who loves Deacon is the same thing. So that I lean into what feels right for me.
Great. I see that in front of you there are the beautiful Boom Boom Room and the Deacon Scotch whiskey and the
All my
Blair.
children, all my children.
Those looks amazing. So the latest news, he just partnered it with Pernod Ricard in many different markets, specifically in Europe. Uh, First of all, how is it going? How has working with such a major player in this industry influenced the brands, the Deacon, Bumbu, and Blair actually?
Well, so let me first say why I chose Pernod because I think that's important. And I was very fortunate, Con. I had the ability to work with anybody, any of the big suppliers. And I tell a story. There were three reasons why I chose Pernod. One is I want people to believe in my brands, believe in me. And I think that's how brands get built. If you believe in them, if you believe in the people behind them, and even me, I need to believe in somebody. And I believe in Alex Ricard, who runs Pernod Ricard. He and his family love our industry. He loves what he does for a living. He believes in brands. He believes in brand building. He believes in relationships. I can get behind that. The second reason I chose Pernod is they're number two. And anybody who's number two, I think, wants to be number one, wants to be the biggest. And the third reason, which is in some ways the most important, Pernod has more market companies, so their own distributors in more markets than any other major supplier in the world. They're in like 70 countries. And I think that's the future of distribution. The more we're all speaking the same language, whether it's the distributor sales rep, the marketing team, me as the brand owner, we're all speaking the same language. That's what I believe in. And it's been a great relationship. Today, we're probably aligned in 70 countries, 80 countries where Pernod is our partner selling our brands. And it's been great. And Deacon is the newest example. We launched this brand for the first time together with Pernod, and it's probably in 50 countries today, and I'd say 70 by the end of this year.
Wow, amazing numbers. It's a huge number already.
And it's huge. The thing to think about is to get Pernod is a wonderful company where it's decentralized. The local markets make their own decisions. So the fact that the local market said 70 markets said, I want this brand is a great sign. It shows they get the brand, they want the brand. It's a quality brand. The taste is great. It's got everything. I want to go sell it. That's what I believe in.
Well, what are the latest success? I know you have been in the industry and crashing it, but in Europe already with sovereign brands, you have got a big number of market shares actually. How has it been going on actually?
So the way for anybody who's an entrepreneur or wants to do something, let me first say that all my brands have one thing in common. No one believed in them. No one. And I believe I'm on my fifth successful brand, which is unheard of in our industry. And if I use Bamboo as an example, Bamboo I launched 5 or 6 years ago, and everybody told me don't do the brand. Rum is not hot. Premium rum doesn't exist. Don't do it. Today, this is one of the hottest brands in the world. It is growing, and not in it's growing massively, but it's not growing in 4 or 5 markets. It's growing in 40 to 50 countries. And that is hugely unique because it's true. The category premium rum isn't a big thing, but Bamboo is becoming a thing. And that tells me we've got an amazing brand, an amazing partnership, and it's working. We're growing a brand in categories that are not that known, but Bamboo is becoming known.
Including three of them, which one is your favorite? I know it's hard to answer while you're having so many babies, but do you have a favorite one?
So I like to be very transparent. I have six children in my house, and I love them all. However, if I'm truthful, every day one of them does something where I'm really, wow, this one's great. This one's special for that day. So to me, it's the same thing with my brands. I love them all. They're all amazing. There's one that just gives me a feeling right now, which is probably the Deacon, because it's the newest, it's the youngest, it's the newest little baby, and it's the most special. And it's the one, like everything, new brands are hard. They're hard because they don't have a track record. You got to start it from scratch. So it takes more. And I feel like that's where my energy needs to be to convince the world this is the greatest single whiskey. You got to try it. So it's going to get more of my attention because it needs the most love.
Speaking of the latest launching, the Deacon, for example, I had a question in my mind actually. As a leader, for example, what principles guide you while you are making your decisions, specifically entering to new market, for example? You have a new product and you are wishing to enter a new market. What are the principles that you take care actually?
So, uh, I, how do I say this? I have lots of sayings and philosophies, and one of them is sometimes not having a plan is a great plan. And what that means to me is I've got this great product. The taste is amazing. The package is beautiful. The name is perfect. The name has meaning. There's a story behind the brand. It's got everything. But now my job is not to overthink it, to let it breathe, to find my audience. So I believe you got to let things go and you learn about it. You learn what works. I right now in Japan, we're killing it with this brand. In Poland, we're crushing it with this brand. In Romania, it's doing great. In the US, it's doing great. In France, it's doing great. I wouldn't have known had I not let it go. Go release it, get it out there. And then I'm going to learn what's working and what doesn't work. In Turkey, perfect example in Turkey with Bamboo. Right now, in Turkey and in France, they love the product and they love shots. Now, we didn't pitch this as a shot brand, but they love it that way. So to me, I'm leaning into that. I love leaning in to when I learn about something, what it's good at. So that's how I approach marketing a brand or releasing a brand.
Great advice, and I got the idea how you are looking your brands while integrating to the new cultures, new markets. Actually, Brett, I watched almost all your self-made interview series. Actually, that has been incredibly inspiring. Actually, what motivated you to start this series, and what was the responses been like actually to you?
So it's funny, I started it before there were podcasts, before before podcasts. And my goal was I'd see people picking up our bottles and taking pictures, and they're holding the bottles, and the bottles became a trophy. It's a sign of success. I've done something, I've achieved something. And what I realized about my own success is people look at me like they look at other successful people and think you were always successful. It always was like this, but that's not the case. My first 5, 6 years sucked in this industry. I lost my house, I lost everything. And I wanted people to hear the side of that side. Forget my success. I just wanted to hear the crap that I went through to get there. And I wanted to hear that from the famous people I know, because I think that's the motivating side for the younger me, the guy who wants to start something, to create something, to do something. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's worth it when you get there. But there's a hard road. And I think that to me is the motivating side. So I get to do this with DJ Khaled, Post Malone, Wiz Khalifa, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, everybody in Africa who's in the music space right now. I'm doing it in Europe, but I love it. It motivates me, and selfishly, I get something out of it because it motivates me.
It's an amazing motivations. Without the motivation, you cannot move forward. But do you have any specific connection from your background or from your childhood? Like, it's a desire for being a successful person. Like, how do you keep motivating yourself, not only with your projects, but whatever you do in your life?
I think I get motivated because people to this day still tell me no. And if you tell me no, I want to crush you. I want to prove you're wrong. I want to show you it can work. And even today, I constantly hear no, that it can't work, it won't work, it's the wrong channel, it's the wrong demographic. So that to me is motivating. It's always doing something from scratch is really hard. It's true, it's hard. But I gotta build, and I say this every day, I gotta build an army of believers. And if they believe in it, it's gonna work. And that's what I'm doing every day as I want to build our army.
In today's digital age, the motivation is important, the collaborations are important, but you use the social media with those collaborations a lot. How did you build this whole social media strategy actually? How has Sovereign brands leveraged these platforms? Because you are huge on social media,
I
right?
to me, what I love about it is I love we're not here to buy fans. We're not paying people to be our fans. We're not advertising to them to say, pick up my bottle. They're doing it on their own. And the way I look at it is, I think social media today, for me, is no different than you following an artist. If you love Post Malone and you follow him, to me, Post Malone's job is to love his fans, to appreciate his fans, to be there for his fans, and that's what we try to do. I learn from our fans. I learn from the people out there. We bring on new brand ambassadors every day because they love what we're doing. So to me, it's a it's a relationship that works because they're the most important people we have. And I'm not here to advertise to them. I'm here to show them who we are and how we got here and why we're special, and they appreciate that. And I think that's key.
That's something that you are doing amazingly. Actually,
But it is, and put it in context. Bamboo has more followers on Instagram than Captain Morgan and Bacardi. Think about it. Those brands have been around for 100 years. They spend hundreds of millions on advertising, yet we have more followers. That tells me we're authentically, organically connecting with the consumer, and that's what I don't want brands. Even in my life, I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be forced what to do. I don't want, I want to feel like I'm discovering something. So we're never gonna push it on anybody. You gotta want it, and that's how I am as a consumer. I have to want it.
right. We have Deacon, Bumbu, and Berish in front of us, but there are also other brands that you are actually having it, like my Violet and McQueen and Violet Gin. Actually, what do you have? What are the other brands?
So
What can you tell us about it?
this Bel Air is our flagship. This is in 80 countries. This is a brand that competes in the champagne category. It's amazing with Bel Air Rosé, with Bel Air Lux, Bel Air Brut Gold, Bel Air Lux Rosé, and then Bel Air Blue, which is just crazy beautiful. We've got McQueen and the Violet Fog, this amazing gin from Brazil, 24 different botanicals. And then we've got McQueen Ultraviolet, this beautiful violet color product. It's made from hibiscus. We've got Vion, which is a cognac liqueur. It competes in liqueur and cognac categories. If you like cognac, you can drink it straight. You can drink it with Coke. Doesn't matter. We got 5 brands that we focus on, and soon to be a couple more coming in the future. All premium prestige brands.
I was gonna ask this actually, since you have the full range and you have these motivations, and so far you have been doing a crazy job. But what is next Brad, for sovereign brands? Or are there any upcoming projects or collaboration that you can give us some excitement? Or what is next for you personally?
So in brand wise, we think the same way we on anything. If I'm going to enter the whiskey category, I need to create a better product. I will not go into any category unless the taste profile of what I've created is better than our competition or someone I'm after. And it goes with all my brands. I can't look you or the consumer or the trade in the eye. And if I got a great package, but I don't believe in the liquid matters. So there are certain categories I'd love to compete in. I think we will because I think we've come up with a better tasting product, but I'm not in a rush. I want my current brands to be successful everywhere, and then we'll come out with something. I think that besides the current three big brands, Bel Air, Bumbu, and Deacon, I think what I'm looking forward to right now is I'm moving in the music space. We're producing our own album with maybe 30 of the biggest music stars in Africa and a couple of huge artists in the US. Because I believe in Africa. I believe that's the next up and coming region of the world. Our brands do amazing. I want to show love to Angola, to Ghana, to Kenya, to Tanzania, to Nigeria, South Africa. We're going to do it through music, and it's going to be it's an exciting project we're working on now that'll probably get released by the end of the year.
Wow, those are the big projects. You really believe in the African artists and the Africa as a new and next
Oh,
generation.
but it's neat because what we're doing,
Yeah.
Con, is we're creating a relationship between African artists and U.S. artists. Some of the biggest names in the U.S. are collaborating with some of the biggest names in Africa and up and coming names, and that would never have happened without us putting the two together. And I love it because it helps. I love helping people get to the next level. That's my goal.
Until here, meanwhile, you were doing those collaborations or those success. I was wondering, did you for sure had some challenges? But my personal question is, after those challenges, how did you keep everything together and continue doing what you are doing actually? Wasn't it hard while you're facing some challenges?
It's ridiculous. It was I tell a story and it's a true story. I had investors early on in the company. They wanted to stop the company. I remember telling my mother, calling her and telling her this, that they want to wind it up. And she told me she'd sell all her rings for me and to put it in the business. And I said, I'll figure it out. Don't, but thank you. But then I told her at that moment, I said, you know what? I don't care about the money. As long as I can survive, like have enough money to live, I love what I'm doing. So I needed that moment to realize I'm not in a rush. It's going to happen eventually. I'll make it successful, but I love what I'm doing. And sometimes you want it too fast. You think it's really easy. You think it's going to happen. And that was me, and that was a mistake. I needed to slow it down, appreciate what I'm doing. Every day we make progress is a good day, and we'll eventually get there. So if you love what you're doing, you can get through it. And that's the key. That's the key.
Perfect. Brett, what do you see in our industry, today's market? What are the biggest trends that you see shaping the market today with the categories actually? Or do you have any predictions for the future of wine and spirit industry?
I I think there's always in our industry, like any industry, there's ups and downs, there's changes. In the US, as an example, there was a massive shift to RTD, ready to drink products, in cans. And then everyone thought at the time, boy, that's going to be the biggest thing ever. And guess what happened? It dropped significantly. So there's always ebbs and flows. The beauty of our industries is when a brand takes hold, it never stops. It never stops and it keeps growing. And that's what I love about it. I look at a brand, which is crazy. I could look at a brand like Pernod Ricard's Jameson. Someone asked me, when's the right time to get out of a brand, or when's the right time when it's peaked? And I have no idea. And I can point to a brand like Jameson, and it's millions of cases. And I think it's halfway there. Meaning I think it can be so much bigger, yet that's a very big brand already. So to me, I love brands because you hold them to your heart. They're a badge of honor. I think to me, I think what I love about what I do for a living is I want to set the new trends. I want bamboo as the new trend. I want Deacon to be the new trend in whiskey. I want Bel Air to be the new trend in champagne. So I think I've made a better product and I want to set the new trends in big, old, slow categories where it's time for something new for the next generation's brand. That's our brands.
Speaking of Jameson and talking about the portfolio of Pernod Ricard, apart from your beautiful babies, what is your favorite brand within Pernod Ricard portfolio? Do you have any?
I love James from a brand, just from a pure brand, an emotional feel. I've always Jameson, I think is just cool. It's a cool brand. You know, it
It
just
is.
is what it is. It's just cool. I think I've always had a sweet spot for Martell. I think Martell just has cachet. It's to me, it's the most premium of the in the category of cognac, and it's got panache. The brand that is new to me, but it's not new, and I love is I think Lillet is a wonderful brand. I think Lillet is truly French, and I'm a big fan of that brand and the spritz. I like that brand. But probably those three are my favorites.
Very good to hear. Lastly, before we're closing, Brett, I know that sovereign brands are right now launching in Turkey and in Dubai. My question, my first question, how was it the launching in Turkey? And what do you think of the Dubai in markets, specifically Dubai and Abu Dhabi? That will be a big potential for the sovereign brands also. How was the latest launches and your last visits?
So Turkey loved it. If you ask me, and people have asked, what's your favorite market? Forget visiting from a tourist perspective. From a business perspective, Turkey's my favorite. I love the team. I love the distribution structure. I love the wholesaler network, which is all part of Pernod. I love what Turkey does with supporting retail, especially independent retail. I love it from a business perspective. I absolutely love it. I think in Turkey we're going to crush it on Deacon because it's a huge whiskey market, and Pernod Turkey owns the category between Chivas and Ballantine. I think bamboo could be the next big thing in Turkey because of the taste profile. It's bigger than rum. The way people are consuming it, I think it could be enormous. Dubai, Dubai was amazing, and the Gulf was amazing to me because they have thousands of premium accounts. And when you have premium accounts, you need premium brands, and our brands fit beautifully in that, beautifully. And my favorite part of being in Dubai, I was at a Mexican restaurant. Now remember, a Mexican restaurant, and my wife ordered nachos, and the nachos came with a bottle on the side where they pour cheese on top of the nachos, and the bottle that they had the cheese in was bamboo. And the person I was with said to the waiter that I own bamboo, and the guy says, "Oh my gosh, we love bamboo." And then the bartender came over and said, "Bamboo is the number one cocktail on our menu. It's called the Mambo Jumbo. The number one cocktail in a Mexican restaurant is bamboo." And that tells me don't overthink it. Just go sell to everybody because when it's a great brand, they can work anywhere.
Amazing, amazing. Brett, thank you so much. That was lovely hosting you in our beautiful Around the Glass talks. Lastly, do you have anything to our listeners who are joining us from Middle East region, to people in Dubai or in Middle East, anywhere where they are listening us?
I want my brands in every market in the Middle East, from Sri Lanka to the Maldives to Lebanon to Iraq to I want to be in all of UAE because I believe in all markets. I think premium, beautiful brands like Bel Air, Bamboo, or Deacon can thrive. But I got a special shout out for Turkey because Turkey is I love Turkey. So I've got us. I want to be hugely successful because I think Turkey is the North Star for success. If Turkey is successful, everyone else is going to follow.
Well, my personal favorite is also Bamboo Room, and I love the sovereign brands also. So it's just amazing, actually. Brett,
Too
thank you,
easy.
thank you so much for joining us today. Brett was with us. It's been a pleasure learning about your journey and your work. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to actually subscribe to us for more inspiring episodes. Brett, have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you all.